Hey, Dominic Steele. Good morning. It's Saturday the 13th of May and Daily Bible Time, and a good week at Reach Australia this week. Now, Isaiah 37 is where we are, and I talked about Isaiah 36 and Isaiah 37 this last week, and I've just picked up off my shelf now that I'm home this big commentary on Isaiah by Alex Mocha, and I've just read bits of chapters 36 and 37 in the big Mocha commentary, and so I just wanted to give you a couple of the bits that I missed when I did them earlier, because I thought, I want to wrap this when I was going through it, and I just noted in chapter 36, first of all, the agents of Sennacherib spoke to the king's agents, the king of Jerusalem's agents, and then they spoke to the crowd. What was Mocha's take on that? Well, arrogantly going over the heads of the king's officials in verse 11 of 36, the Rabshakeh addresses the people directly, brutally reminding them that politicians make wars, but people suffer them. But it is the same arrogant spirit which is now about to betray him into a fatal step. It is one thing, a fair diplomatic ploy, to advise against trusting either Hezekiah or the Lord. It's even humanitarian to offer peace and a new home instead of the horrors of siege, but to equate the Lord with the gods of the nations and to scorn his ability to save Jerusalem is quite different. Now, Aramaic was the diplomatic language of the day. That would enable negotiations to be carried out with a degree of secrecy. But to depart from the diplomatic protocol by using Hebrew flaunts his cosmopolitan culture, hints that one could not expect ignoramuses in this remote spot to know what's real in the real world. And that arrogance, says Mocha, will soon be his ruin. For the men sitting on the fence, the people, they trust God. And you can imagine that he's doing that speech and attempting to gather them into his mindset, to scare them, to alienate them from their leaders, and yet they trust God. That was his fatal error. Particularly in verses 18 to 21, the word of blasphemy that the Lord heard for Assyria's pride. Now, chapter 37, the little extra bits and pieces that I picked up that I found really interesting. Well, what happens is King Hezekiah gets the report from his key guys. He tears his clothes, goes to the Lord's temple, and repents. And so, let me just give you those verses. They said to him, "This is what Hezekiah says. Today is a day of distress, rebuke, and disgrace. It's as if his children have come to the point of birth. There's no strength to deliver them. Perhaps the Lord your God will hear all the words of the royal spokesman, who his master, the king of Assyria, sent to mock the living God, and will rebuke him. Therefore offer a prayer for the surviving remnant." So the servants of King Hezekiah went to Isaiah, who said to them, "Tell your master." Now, this is the bit that I thought was really special. I didn't actually notice when I was reading it in Isaiah 37, but the commentator Mocha points it out. Isaiah doesn't go to the Lord and ask him, "What are you going to do?" Because Isaiah already knows what the Lord is going to do, because the Lord wrote it in Isaiah chapter 14. So back in chapter 14:24 of Isaiah, and I'd forgotten this, the Lord of armies has sworn, "As it is purposed, so it will be. As I've planned it, so it will happen. I will break Assyria in my land. I'll tread him down on my mountain. Then his yoke will be taken from them, and his burden will be removed from their shoulders. This is the plan prepared for the whole earth. This is the hand stretched out against the nations." So Isaiah doesn't have to go to Yahweh and say, "What are you going to do?" And in fact, Isaiah doesn't report what the Lord is going to do to Assyria, because it's already been declared. Rather, the servants of King Hezekiah went to Isaiah, who said to them, "Tell your master, don't be afraid because of the words you've heard, with which the king of Assyria's of attendants have blasphemed me. I'm about to put a spirit in him. He will hear the rumor. He will return to his own land. I will cause him to fall by the sword." So the only thing that is dealt with here in Isaiah 37 is what's going to happen to this messenger from Assyria. So I just thought that was lovely. You keep on reading through Isaiah 37, And just the other little thing that jumped out at me is the destruction of Assyria, lest you might be tempted to think it was just a coincidence that Assyria is destroyed on this day. God says, I'm going to organise the crops as a sign for you. Verse 30, this year you'll eat what grows on its own. The second year you'll eat what grows from that. The third year sow and reap, plant vineyards and eat their fruit. The surviving remnant of the house of Judah will again take root downward and bear fruit upward. So he's going to say, agriculture is going to play out this way, and that's going to be a sign for you. That's Isaiah 37. Thanks for joining us on Daily Bible Time Monday morning, Isaiah 38. God bless.